One of the understated icons of Hollywood and a heroine of geek culture, Sarah Michelle Gellar has a new movie out called Do Revenge. But coming up through Hollywood in the late 90s and the early 2000s was tough going for Sarah. And in this video, we're going to be looking at an interview she did with the New York Times about what she's learned. First up, Sarah explains how hard it is to be a young woman in Hollywood. She explained to The Times that being a New Yorker born and raised, she had some street smarts that she took into her acting career. But she's been through a lot of tough times, and she realized that she wouldn't get anywhere by crying about stuff that happened to her. Though Sarah admires the women who can summon up the courage to lay themselves bare for the media, she's definitely too jaded for that sort of thing now. After a long career of watching women get torn apart through blaming and shaming, she's made up her mind not to talk about things. We can't say we blame her. The court of public opinion is far from the best place to hash out issues of workplace harassment. But it has proven to be the only outlet victims of abuse have had so far. It's a sorry reflection on a justice system that isn't capable of bringing the rich and powerful to justice, leaving people on the internet to do it themselves through cancel culture. Some women have absolutely put their lives up to insane scrutiny in the pursuit of justice for themselves, but some, like Gellar, aren't willing to do that. Her solution is more to create safe and equitable environments for actors wherever she gets the opportunity. One example of this is in her role as the executive producer of the upcoming teen show Wolfpack, which stars a quartet of young actors. From the start, she has made it clear to them that they can talk to her about any concerns that they have with the production. Now, as Gellar is returning to acting, we have to address the elephant in the room. For all the acting that Sarah Michelle Gellar has done over her life, she was probably expecting Buffy the Vampire Slayer to be her legacy in the biz. Unfortunately, that ain't happening anymore, as the show has become shrouded in controversy. It turns out that Joss Whedon is a total creep. In the past few years, many of the cast members of the show have spoken out against inappropriate behavior from Whedon, who was the creator and showrunner. He created a toxic environment on the set that made all the women uncomfortable. Charisma Carpenter was one of the first to break the story, posting a statement on Twitter in February of 2021 in solidarity with Ray Fisher, who'd suffered under Whedon's reign on the Justice League movie. She realized that he abused his power on multiple occasions on the sets of Buffy and its spin-off Angel. While he was having a laugh himself, Charisma says that his behavior caused her performance anxiety and general mental stress. She also developed a chronic physical condition that ails her to this day. Specific things from her statement include passive-aggressive threats to fire her, making fun of her weight while she was pregnant, and berating her for getting a rosary tattoo. His behavior around her pregnancy was particularly gross. Her agents couldn't get hold of him to let him know about her pregnancy, and when he did find out, he cruelly asked her if she was going to keep it. Moving on, Charisma was only the first to step forward. Amber Benson took Charisma's side, validating her claims and talking about how abuse and toxicity in any workplace start at the top. Claire Kramer, who appeared in 13 episodes of the show, also put her stamp of approval on Charisma's statement. Imagine how bad it must have been for someone who only appeared for 13 episodes to have felt it too. But Michelle Trachtenberg was the one who provided the next bombshell in the story. She was a teenager when she did Buffy, and she didn't go into specifics about the things Joss Whedon did to her. All she did was share a post of support from Sarah Michelle Gellar, and in the caption, wrote that he behaved inappropriately with her. It got to a point where there was a rule on set. Joss Whedon was not allowed to be alone with Michelle. Hearing that about any man and woman would be scary, but a powerful man like Joss Whedon and a young actress like Michelle Trachtenberg, the less we think about the implications there, the better. This is all very ironic, considering that Joss was considered a prominent feminist ally. But as Ray Fisher continued his crusade against Whedon, other women stepped forward to report negative experiences with him. This includes Gal Gadot, who he also directed in Justice League. When even his ex-wife, Kai Cole, chimed in to say that his feminist mask was just a mask, that was probably the final nail in the coffin. It's safe to say that Joss Whedon's career may well be over. Now, let's look into some other related news. First up, Sarah Michelle Gellar has had enough of the drama. The Buffy scandal was notably partly because of the lead actress's absence from the story. About all she had to say on the matter was an Instagram post where she wrote that she was proud to be associated with the show, but she doesn't want to be associated with the guy who created it. She declined to say anything further on the matter because she was focusing on raising her family and surviving a pandemic. But based on her interview with the New York Times, she may have stayed out of this debacle out of her personal instinct. While leading actresses are sometimes spared from the worst behaviors of guys like Whedon, it's hard to imagine that she doesn't have her own horror stories. Of course, the media shouldn't pressure every woman to talk about the things they go through on movie sets, even if it would put the career of a guy like Joss Whedon to rest. Those trauma dramas belong to the victims, and it's up to them to share as they feel appropriate. We say this because Gellar did attract some criticism for not doing more to stand by her co-stars when the scandal was breaking. This is all stuff in the past, of course. Much like Joss Whedon's career, these are just skeletons that we shouldn't dwell on for any longer than necessary. With that in mind, next, Do Revenge marks her return after a long hiatus from acting. At just 45, Gellar sports a long list of credits. Her first acting role was in a film, An Invasion of Privacy, way back in 1983, when she was still a young girl. But of course, you'll know her best for the long years she spent in the role of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, whose first season aired in 1997 and the last came in 2003. In 2015, she joined up with Galad Labo and Greg Fleischman to dip her toes into a different field, online retail. The trio started up the company Foodstirs, which sells baking kits that all use organic and non-genetically modified ingredients. Healthiness is a focus of the brand, as much as baking can be healthy while still being delicious. If you're looking for artificial preservatives, flavors, and colors, you're in the wrong place. Gellar really committed to this new avenue of cooking, taking a break from acting to dive right into this side of herself. In 2017, she published a cookbook, which you might want to pick up if you're interested in a cookie recipe from the guardian of a hellmouth. And even though she's finally back in Hollywood, Foodstirs is still going strong. Finally, is it time to buy tickets to Gellar's acting comeback? It sure is. The movie has been streaming on Netflix since September 16, and if you won't catch it for Sarah Michelle Gellar, you might want to catch it for Riverdale star Camila Mendes or Stranger Things star Maya Hawke. Inspired by the Hitchcock classic Strangers on a Train, the plot follows a pair of girls in high school. One wants revenge on her boyfriend by publicly sharing their tape, while the other wants to overcome a rumor that's putting a damper on her life. The two team up to bring a double dose of girl power to their high school. If you're the kind of person who only watches the most critically acclaimed films, then Do Revenge has you covered there too. It's currently rocking an 84% freshness rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with critics heaping praise on Hawke and Mendes' performances. This sounds like exactly the kind of movie you should watch if you're a fan of Riverdale and/or Stranger Things. Fans of those shows are definitely gonna need something to tide them over, with Stranger Things going back into the kitchen for its final season and Riverdale heading towards its last 2 seasons. That's it for today's video. Let's keep the comment section more positive than the video was by sharing our favorite Sarah Michelle Gellar movies, shows, and moments. But whatever you do, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.